So
Right.
to get started, I guess I'll start asking with what's working to get our buyers' offers accepted right now. If anybody could unmute and get the camera on, even if you don't look good, and just jump on and participate as much as possible. Does anybody have anything that they're like doing that is working really well?
So I think it's the obvious big ones, right? If you have a client who's willing to waive inspection or waive an appraisal, those are catching eyes, obviously, really quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I think that for me, I think for us, Rebecca, maybe too, our biggest thing is recognizing who's actually a ready, willing, and able buyer. Sorry. Recognizing who's really those clients. Like maybe 6 months ago, we had a client that was willing, able, and ready, and we thought they were like an A buyer, but I think that the A buyer classification now has changed a little bit. Does anybody agree with that or have any opinions about that?
I mean, I do. I think there's a big difference. I mean, before I would have said an A buyer was someone who was ready to go and look out houses and ready to put in offers, but that's not even enough now. They have to be willing to do all that, but the offers that they put in, they have to be aware of the market. So now they have to be willing to go above asking price. They have to be willing to consider adding any extras that they can, whether that be the appraisal or the inspection or taking care of the CO or being flexible on their move-in date. Like all of that becomes more of an A buyer. Somebody who's not willing to go above asking price is not ready to buy in this market.
That's right. That's right.
Luisa, do you have to qualify your buyers at a higher level now as to what kind of houses they want? Or is it that you have to broaden it because they're may miss out on so many things?
I think like Rebecca does a really good job at this. But one of the great things is when you have a buyer, let's say that they're qualified up to like 325. We tell them that they should start looking a good $30,000 to $40,000 below their asking price, so they have room to go above asking price. If they're qualified 325, there's probably no chance that they're going to get a house for 325. They're going to get outbid. So that's one of the first things. If we get a buyer that wants a deal, that is not a buyer for this market. And just being like transparent with them and telling them, listen, you're not going to find a deal now. You could either buy now at the market rate, or you could wait to see if homes come down, but you're not going to find a deal right now. Anybody else have anything that they want to add? How are you qualifying your buyers right now?
Well, it really goes back to being able, ready, and willing. I'm reminded of shift and understanding their urgency, and we're in bold right now, and that's actually what we're looking at this week, for example, is qualifying able, ready, and willing buyers. Able, ready, and waiting, probably not going to buy a house in this market, but definitely pre-qualifying them and getting to their needs analysis, their motivation, and the two big, the big questions about why and the timing. Still really important in determining their ability to actually be able to buy in this market.
Do you still have clients, anyone that actually are surprised about the market once they start looking?
I think there's always those buyers, like the ones that when you do the consultation, they're on board, they understand. But when they see the house, they're like, oh, this is not worth this much. I'm going to offer 10,000 below ask. And a good question to ask them is, do you want to write an offer or do you want to go under contract?
I think also managing their expectations of the timetable is really important, because right now we're seeing it take so much longer than it used to. And we're having to write so many more offers than we used to. And so I think it's easy for the buyer to get really discouraged quickly, you know, when you get up to 4, 5, 6 offers that have not been accepted. So it's something to help them, to keep them in the game before they just want to give up, because it's a hard market.
It's extremely challenging. Anybody else have anything they want to share about how you're qualifying your buyers to make sure that they're A buyers in this market? We have a quiet crowd this time. Chris, here you are.
Yeah, I think the three
Guys, I'm
ways that-
sorry.
No problem, Chris. The 3 ways to energize buyers really is becoming a local economist of choice. I think the more knowledge you have and understanding the local markets, the more you can, present yourself as an expert or an authority. That's going to be helpful, helping them to tap into their why. What is their real motivation for moving? Personal. And 3, addressing their reluctance. I need to find someplace new to live in order to sell this house. Those are still the 3 main issues I think that we're dealing with.
Absolutely, Chris, just to fill you in, we're doing this as a true mastermind. So we're asking for everybody's participation and just going around asking what is working and what is not working when we're getting buyers to get accepted multiple offers. Right now, we're
Sure.
talking about how to identify who's actually a willing, ready, and able buyer.
Me, I usually ask that specific question. Like, are you ready to hold your nose and do what needs to be done?
I think a lot of people too also think they are until they're actually out there and they realize that
Right.
there's 30 offers on this house. You can't come up $5,000. Like, you have to be a little bit more competitive.
I think this is always a good opportunity to explain how we get compensated, because as we all know, there's a lot of people that they don't care, number one, about our time, but the ones that do care about our time and realize we don't earn a penny until keys are handed over, it registers with them. That human element of frustration that they see, we also see it as well.
I agree. So what are you guys doing with those buyers that are not ready, like that are not your A+ buyers? How are you guys differentiating, and how are you guys letting those people off the A train, I guess?
I'll go. So for me, I'll usually give somebody, the freebie, like, all right, this is, let's just go out. And it's more for me to get a sense of who they are. But there's kind of a judgment call there. If I think somebody is, if we're at like tour number 5, offer number 3, and they're refusing to kind of take that guidance, there, that's the time for the conversation. Guys, what are we doing here? Because I see it as we're wasting gas. And sometimes they'll say, I'm not ready right now. And yeah, sometimes those people are going to go with somebody else that's willing to waste time with them. And all right, it is what it is at that point. There's going to have to be an independent, i.e. judgment call you have to make with people in a market like this. It's also a good opportunity, though. It's also a good opportunity, though, I find, to talk about finances. When you get to that point, you're like, listen, we've gone to the well 3 times. Okay. We haven't even been close 3 times. Yes, I got it. You're using a mortgage, and yes, it has to appraise, and you've got this pre-approval letter for up to yada, yada, yada. But what the seller is concerned about with is how likely is whatever offer I take going to be to get to the closing table. One of the things I've been suggesting, and not everybody takes me up on it, but many do, is I go, listen, most of your competition is not going to do this, but it's okay for you to share your books to a certain extent. Show, yes, you have a pre-approval for a mortgage, and that assumes you have cash on hand. If you've got a ton of cash on hand and just don't want to spend it, show that you got a ton of cash on hand, because then all of a sudden you are a much more valid buyer when you factor in that appraisal risk that the seller takes on every time they accept an offer. I do this a lot with my VA buyers because, many of them want to use the 100% financing, but the market just isn't situated, or it's not working in a way that allows them to do it. They can still buy homes. They're probably not going to 100% finance it in the end, but they can still get a house. And the way we kind of get around that appraisal concern is, listen, they've got $80,000 in the bank that they can pull from if they need to. Here's their proof of funds. So it's something a little different that a lot of the competition isn't doing. You're seeing, big numbers and a pre-approval letter and something saying they waive it, but there's no proof they actually have that money a lot of times.
That's
Sort
a
of
great
like
point,
show me.
Chris.
It's like, show me the money. You show them. Here it is. I got it.
I've been able to get offers accepted using part of what Chris just said. Everybody seems like they're waiving things. So if my clients are waiving an appraisal, sending also the proof of funds to show that they have the money to, give up that gap.
Right. It's important because otherwise it's like, so what?
Mm-hmm. What else, guys? What are you guys doing that is helping you get your offers accepted?
So one of the, I'm a wannabe home inspector, I think. I always found that part of the process interesting. So I've listened a lot, and I go into showing a property with that in mind. I look at it from the lens of, okay, let's hop ahead in time. Forget the natural lighting and the feng shui and all that stuff. What is likely to kill a deal are inspection requests. So, I spend, like literally I take people in, we go right to the basement. Let's look at the mechanicals. Let's look to see, do we see anything that might be problematic during the inspection period, right? And we have that conversation up front so that if they actually are interested in that home, then it turns into, okay, listen, I'm not an inspector, but I listen to a lot, I see a lot, I go to all of them. These are the things that they would be looking for and looking at, are you concerned about, okay, let's take a typical Hamilton house built 70 years ago, right? Are you concerned or not concerned about these old cast iron pipes in the basement? You should be, right? Because when you get to the inspection, the inspector's going to say, listen, those things are likely to leak on you. Whereas another house has PVC in it, right? If they're equally attractive to you, think about the one of the PVC and then go in with maybe a statement in your offer that says, listen, we're going to do a structural inspection for general knowledge only, right? That way you're giving the assurance to the seller, I'm not going to nickel and dime you to kind of claw back what I'm paying for this house, right? So, if you go in to the bidding, because that's what it is these days, the bidding process, armed with a better assessment of what you're likely to ask for after the inspections, I think that's helpful too. I realize not everybody's comfortable doing that. But, for those of you that, have offers in the pipeline and have inspections scheduled, if you could go to it and listen from that standpoint, not so much for that house, but to help you with the next deal, because they're very common things that inspectors are going to look at.
I agree with you. Rebecca, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say something that sellers have made a note of mentioning, that one or two bids for me was the buyers wrote like a personal letter and, really played up their situation, whatever it may have been. And, they were good A buyers that were right in the mix as far as what their offer was and any concessions they were willing to make. And so the letter sort of, tipped them over a little bit, just because we all know that once you get to a certain point, all the offers look similar enough. It was something little extra that, that the sellers were happy to see. So, I mean, it's a little corny. It doesn't always work, but it takes 5 minutes for a buyer to write a little letter that you can attach with the offer. It can't ever hurt.
So I've been told by listing agents that they will not present a love letter with an offer for fear of the discrimination possibility. And that was also something that was mentioned during my CEU class. I'm not sure. I don't remember which class it was. It might have been the class on discrimination.
It's going to be fair housing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
be the
Chris.
fair housing one. Hey,
Yeah.
Nick, are you on?
He's not.
He's not. That would be a great thing, I think, for Nick to talk to, or anybody that's gone to that to the broker course. I'll be honest, like on the list side, if they come, I send them through to the seller, right? If they're presented, I present everything that comes in. If I'm not comfortable saying I'm not going to present something that attends with an offer. Is that the right answer? I'm not 100% certain. On the buy side, I generally don't recommend it, although to be fair, I did with the last buyer. I got under contract. I don't think it made a difference, but it made my buyers feel that I was doing everything I could to help them win the deal they wanted. So it's one of those. It's one of those. I don't know how to actually I don't know where in the shades of gray it sits for me to put a position on. So I think that's a good kind of, maybe we take that one and then
Yeah.
get the broker to give kind of the brokerage's official position on it, which I suspect is probably going to be kind of wishy-washy and gray anyway, is my guess. And it's not meant to be a negative statement in any means. I think it's just one of those areas that I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer on it. I think you have to be careful and be aware of the Fair Housing Act and how it applies. But to overwhelmingly say no letters, no, never, I think that's probably a little heavy-handed as well.
I've heard of some
Chris,
states going through and saying that they're not accepting them at all. I think that us as a whole, we haven't had like a determination one way or the other. What I do the same thing Chris does. If somebody sends me a letter, I just pass it on, because what if the sellers were home when they went to see the house? They would have seen their ethnicity, they would have seen their family status.
Right.
None of that is gonna change anything that my letter says. And I have to say that some of my sellers really, really love the letter thing. Like, I honestly don't read them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even want to be emotionally involved
Right.
at all.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't look at them. I just like,
Can I
here
ask
it
you a
is.
question? Chris, I have a situation here. There are at the open house, the first day at the open house, the agent got 11 offers on the spot, and ours. I went to show the house, and my buyers also put an offer on it. Plus, the sellers were there, and the agent, I don't know how, but he since the seller was there, he was talking to me, and the situation with my buyers are they have sold their house. They're in a tough situation because they got an extension from their buyers till end of June. And now they are in desperate situation. They want to find a house. So I did ask the seller, I said, would you be able to close real quickly. I mean, my buyers are looking to close before June. And he said, oh yeah, we also got a house and we are looking to close really soon. Now our offer, we already made an initial offer higher than the asking price, 10,000 higher than the asking price. And I presented the offer in front of the listing agent, to the seller. And our offer is right now the best, but he said, oh, I have 11 offers. I said, I understand you have 11 offers, but you don't know if they all qualify. I mean, for some, he had the pre-qualification letter. He didn't have for all of them. So he doesn't know if all 11 offers are valid or they qualify for the house. So in this situation, how do I get to win that thing?
So, when did this occur? Last weekend?
Last weekend.
Last weekend, and they haven't gone through the offers that they have in.
They have
hand
gone
yet?
through the offers, but the agent is saying that I'm going to do one more open house, and they are. He has put on the sellers, although according to what I had the conversation with the seller, he said that we also purchased a house in Westminster, and we are looking to close ASAP.
Well, it sounds to me like they're holding another open house because they think they're going to get some smoking hot offer. So that means that they haven't flat out, they haven't countered any of the other ones. They haven't responded to any of them.
No. I don't know if
yeah.
he has, if the agent is trying to bring his buyers up. I'm not sure about that, because their manager is not like he's handling all the offers. He's handling all the.
So, and they haven't called for best and final yet?
No.
Interesting.
One of the things
You know
that
what
I've done in this situation is that I call the agent and I ask them, what is the seller looking for?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Besides price, what is it that they're looking for? Is it time?
Yep.
What do they want? Tell me what they want to make my offer stronger. And a lot of times they'll tell you.
Yep.
They might not be specific. Some people are specific. I had somebody, a listing agent, tell me a couple of weeks ago, like what the bottom line that his client would take. Not supposed to do that, but if you're a buyer's agent, you get that information out, use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Always ask the question. You always ask the question.
That's a good thing. Okay, I'll do that.
Have you tried it?
By the way, if you've got a listing, and you see that I'm making an appointment to it, make sure your seller's not there. I'm really good at getting sellers to tell me everything. Like really good. I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's
No, if
people
you
talk
are
to me.
coming, Chris, I will ask my sellers to disappear right then. And
that's a good idea.
Chris, so that could be part of our. Chris, that could be part of our
very good
training.
idea.
How do we get information out of the seller if they're there?
Okay.
Just chat them up. Normal conversation.
As soon as I see the appointment from Chris, I'm asking them to leave, disappear. No, you are not. It'll be okay. Thanks.
The question, how do you kind of pump them for information? Just talk to them. Talk to them like with anyone else. Oh, you're moving, or you found you're moving. Where to? I'm so excited for you. That's great. You found a place yet? Oh, that's terrific. Oh, your new construction. How far out is the build, right? And these things tell you a lot. Like if somebody's building a house, they generally need a lot of money, right? And they need, they also will typically need to hit certain dates. What's the date you've got to have this thing under contract by? Just ask them. They'll tell you.
That's what I asked. That's when
Yep.
I found out that they bought a house. They already purchased a place in Westminster, and they are looking for to close. That's when he told me, yeah, we can do that. We are in the same situation because we have bought the house, but we have to sell this house. I said, how soon can you close?
In your case here, and realize it may backfire. You might want to submit a slightly better offer you know, and just say, hey, you know, this is our best and final, but we need to hear by, you know, what's today, Wednesday, need to hear by, you know, 10 a.m. Friday, because they've got to, you know, we can't, they have a hard date. They have a hard date they're working towards. We need to know.
I've also, in that situation, would suggest that you try an escalation clause.
Yeah.
That one I did, but that really backfired me.
Okay. How so?
With another property, with another client, I had the escalation clause, but then they said, oh, we know that you had the escalation clause, but there was another buyer who was putting half cash down. Like,
all right, so basically what you're up against is somebody who doesn't understand basic economics and can't do math. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Yeah,
and a lot of agents are like that. And it's like sometimes you cannot argue with them. The more you do that,
you can't. If that's their mindset, if that's their mindset, there's no way you're going to change it.
Especially in this market. In this market, you cannot argue with the listing agent.
Yeah.
What I actually do, when I call them to find out what the seller wants and what's important to the seller, I ask them right then, will they accept an escalation clause? And if they tell me, what is that? No, then that's out the window. And I do it the way they want, because I think the best advice I can give is become like that listing agent's best friend. Like, make them feel like they can trust you, like you know what you're doing and you're professional, and that's going to get you further ahead.
See, it's funny. I actually don't ask permission to put an escalation clause in. I just do it because chances are, you know, with as many agents as there are in the business, right? If it's somebody I don't know, I've never heard of, I'm definitely not asking for permission, because I'm going with the assumption they don't know what the hell it is. So I'd rather put it in, not give them the opportunity to say no, right? They have to present it to their client. You know, their client will have never heard of it. Wait, what's this? You mean they're going to give me $1,000 more than any other competing offer up to such and such price? I like that. Sellers like that. Listing agents don't like escalation clauses because it means they have to do math.
I love this escalation clauses and listing side. But I'm okay at that.
So do I. Absolutely.
I don't do math. You know, there's a lot of people in this business that can't do math.
They can't do math, and there are a lot of agents actually. The last one that was they accepted an offer right from their own office, and I don't even know, because when I told him that it's escalation clause, just like you're saying, he asked me, what is that? I said, okay. So I explained to him, he understood, but he said, well, we have a lot of offers. They are in better qualified, better their thing. And then finally, then he sent me an email that the sellers chose another one who was putting more down. I said, but ours was with the escalation clause. And I explained to you what it is. If you want, let me present that to your sellers.
I don't even I literally don't even ask. This is what my escalation clause looks like. I use section 43. It's your best friend, right? You could put all sorts of stuff in there, and you know what? The attorneys are going to fix it anyway when you get into attorney review. So if you screwed something up, they'll fix it, right? But regarding escalation clauses, section 43, you know, other contractual provisions or whatever it is, right? I put a single line in there that says escalation clause, colon or hyphen, depends on my mood that day, right? Oh, hello. Escalation clause, buyer to pay $5,000 over next competing price up to whatever the top end number is, right? And then, by the way, this is the opportunity to slide that proof of funds in along with it, you know, because to your point, you're competing a lot of times against somebody who's putting 50% down, Okay, just because they're putting 50% down doesn't mean squat. That might be every damn penny they have, right? You don't know. In fact, you don't even really know if they have the 50% down, because at this point in the juncture, most people, all you're seeing is their pre-approval letter. That's it.
Right.
That pre-approval letter may or may not say they're putting 50% down. Most of them don't. Most of them will say, it's based on a 20% down payment, right?
Yeah, the
And
real
then
thing
once you
comes
get under
out when it goes
contract,
in underwriting.
right, and then once you're under contract, oh no, they're not going to put 50% down. They're going to put 20% down. Are you going to kill it? Are you really going to kill a deal over that once you're that far along? No, you're not, right? So it's kind of a fast one, So I don't see that as necessarily a strong offer unless I see the finances that go along with it. In most cases, you're not.
Okay. Let me try this thing first. Ask the listing agent about this thing. That what they're
Oh, it
looking
never hurts.
for. That's a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, never
Okay.
hurts.
And then,
And then by the
then I
way,
will
when you
go.
make that phone call, you lead with, how you doing? Are you exhausted? I'm exhausted. Oh my God, I can't wait for the market to shift. It's a great icebreaker.
Yeah. Okay.
I had somebody that I
Okay.
asked them, they had like 30 offers and I was on the buy side and I was like, do you want me to send you a spreadsheet? I have a template I could send you.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, say that again.
It's
Say that
actually
again?
really cool. Our command CRM system does that for you. It's actually really neat. Do you want me to drive you through it sometime? It's it comes with being a KW and it's awesome. Does business
What did
planning
you
for
say
me,
about
everything.
the
It's terrific.
spreadsheet?
Well, Chris does it on command. I have like an Excel spreadsheet. I haven't tried it in command. I have to, but just where it asks you all the points of the offers, you can put them side by side so that the seller can see them all at once, so they can make a good decision while they're looking and reviewing them all.
Yeah.
So Luisa, on that subject, what's cool is if you put all those offers into command as they come in, you can actually export that whole spreadsheet. You can do the compare function. It'll export a spreadsheet with like 80-90% of what you really want to be looking at right off the bat, right? And it'll put it as a PDF for you. If you use Adobe Acrobat, which most of us have, you can actually edit that as a spreadsheet. So like I'll take them all as they come in, dump them into command, hit the compare button, export the thing, and boom, there's my spreadsheet. And then I can add the other stuff as I need to.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Big
really
time
cool. I'm gonna try that.
Chris, I'm going to use it for this open house, and for this house that I know that they're going to be, because I'm getting a lot of calls on that house. I'll be having on 8th. They're still preparing the house, but people are going crazy for that house in Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
So I will use that spreadsheet. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
Chris, I love how you wove command into that. So I know what we're going to be covering next Tuesday at noon.
That's a nice plug.
But eventually you're going to have to put it in there anyway. So I'm just like, let me do it once, and then I don't have to do it later.
Yeah. So I had a question. Has anybody, in the shifted market, right now with prices accelerating, buyers, think that they need to jump in, but at some point the market starts to shift, and then there's an element of buyer reluctance or buyer, reluctance. Has anybody felt that yet or seen that coming?
I've seen some buyers get discouraged because the prices keep increasing. I think that I was just doing masterminds and they were talking about how you have to educate the buyer about that there's not an inventory shortage. It's just that they're looking at the wrong things. Like they're looking at the wrong price point for what they want. It's not that there isn't any houses out there, it's that, they're at the wrong price point. And just educating the buyer about the interest rates and how they're going to save so much more, even if they buy a house that's more expensive, just because the interest rates are so low, and what their buying power is compared to what it could be with a smaller budget later.
Interesting. Okay.
I feel like those buyers that are discouraged because the prices are too high, those are not my A+ buyers.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Those are the buyers that wanted a deal. And that's a way for them to kind of not say it, but say it. So you could.
Well,
You know,
well,
it's when that comes up, and that's kind of a good circle around something I forgot before. When somebody makes that statement, I ask right away. I'm like, well, can you wait 2 years? Because I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, in the next 2 years there will be a course correction more than likely, and then you'll probably see more inventory in the price range, of the homes you're looking for, and you'll have more leverage at that point. Can you wait 2 years?
mm-hmm.
Well, no, I can't wait 2 years. Okay, then here we are.
Yeah. Well, reluctance is goes to willingness, right? So reluctance is an unwillingness, and maybe they come right out and say it to you, but otherwise maybe it's their actions,
Right.
the way they respond, timeliness. They're sending signals to you, that you can feel. Anyway, I was just curious about that. If anybody's seen that, because that will be the next market, I suppose, but we're not there yet.
I can I get a Phil Super?
Super Phillips, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
You guys, this is Lori. There was a really interesting podcast from Dave Ramsey. One of his callers asked, "Are we in a housing bubble?" And he said, "No." I thought that was really an interesting perspective. He said, what happened in 2006, was one of those moments. But he said that if you're selling high, you're buying high, but the prices are going to continue to go up over time. So I thought it was he really dismissed this whole climate that we're in, that this is a bubble.
Right.
I'll send that link. I just thought it was interesting if anybody listens to Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, two timeless strategies, proactive prevention and early response. There's a quote by an agent that communication builds confidence. So the more you can communicate, the more you'll be able to best represent your clients and buyers. Obviously, things like no news is good news is never an option for a sales professional. The truth is that no news is probably bad news in the minds of buyers and sellers. So, be aware of that. And I'm just reminded of a paragraph in Shift. At the end of the day, building buyer urgency is about expert knowledge of the market, careful consultation on their personal wants and needs, skill at communicating the opportunities of the market, and assertiveness in challenging their thinking. You are the dedicated professional they hired to help them make good decisions and take the right actions. Earn the right to be that person and have the courage to act on what you know to be true. More people will thank you, more people will refer you to others, and you will execute more sales. Creating urgency is a learned skill. And once you learn it, will create new opportunities for you and your buyers. Just remember, the first urgency must be yours. So I think to Chris's point earlier, where he's having some straightforward conversations, maybe now's not the right time for those buyers to buy. Maybe it would be to their advantage to wait a year or two. That's a fierce conversation, and that's professional that they hired you for. And I'm sure Chris is building a lot of pipeline in the future with those people and referrals by, his straightforward, honest, and frank conversations with them. So I think that's my biggest takeaway from this conversation today. All right. Anybody else out there? Lori, thanks for sharing. Ritu, thanks for sharing. Sherry, thanks a lot. I don't know if anybody else in the call had any questions. Sushma, Lashana, Anita, thanks to Rebecca as well. Anjali, any questions? I know you're working with some buyers. Okay. Well, if not, I just want to thank Chris and Luisa for being here and everybody for being here today. It's KW Princeton's mastermind here on multiple offers and getting your offer accepted. This has been recorded and we're going to get this posted and shared internally. So thanks again for everyone being here. Chris, any closing comments?
No, other than I apologize for being late. I got held up at a photography job.
Not a problem. We really appreciate all your leadership and insights here today. All right, well, I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Frank.
Lisa.
All right, guys, take care.
Bye.